It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
In our world lead right now on a U.S. Navy ship. The U.S. is holding 2 survivors of a U.S. strike on an alleged drug-filled submarine in the Caribbean. This according to President Trump. It would be the 6th known strike, the first that didn't kill everyone on board. In the same week, Trump publicly declared he authorized the CIA to operate inside Venezuela to crack down on drug trafficking and migrants. This afternoon, the president had this colorfully worded message for the Venezuelan strongman leader, Nicolas Maduro.
He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
So joining us now is retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton. I won't ask you about that language from the president, but I will be asking you about what the United States is doing. The U.S. Navy is deploying about 4,000 more Marines and sailors to patrol waters around Latin America and the Caribbean. Maduro is rolling out
It's good. I'm gonna come in as MAGA Mike. It's good to have a president that don't fuck around, okay? MAGA Mike don't play about his president.
a new defense plan, reportedly mobilizing his own military, police, and militias. Could movements like this mean that both countries are preparing for potentially a larger conflict?
Yeah, Bianna, that unfortunately is often historically the case, that when countries mobilize their forces, here we have some Marines getting ready for a training mission, and here we have the Venezuelan National Guard, and they are moving into what looks like a training mission as well. So
we sending in Marines, and they got the National Guard. That's like OSU playing Bixby right now. That's like that's like the NBA All-Stars. You know, you ever watch on TikTok and they got that LGBTQ basketball league in like the Philippines or something. That's like LeBron James and the NBA All-Stars playing them. Here's the Venezuelan National Guard. That's like Harlem Nights. Don't shoot that shit no more. Little pea shooter, y'all better put them up. If we send the Marines, it's a wrap against a National Guard. Okay.
These are the kinds of things that we have to watch out for, because as troops deploy to areas, we've got about 4,000 U.S. troops in and around Venezuela right now. That could be a telltale sign that they're trying to do something. And once those wheels are set in motion, sometimes it's very hard to stop them.
So let's zoom out for a minute here, because Trump says Venezuela is, quote, feeling heat. Can you explain for our viewers why this focus specifically on Venezuela?
So there's several different factors here, Bianna, but one of them is Tren de Aragua. This is a group that President Trump talks a lot about. They started in Venezuela, but they are in many other places. They also operate here in the United States. One of the things that they do is very clearly and very badly human trafficking. They also do target migrants as part of that human tracking effort. Money laundering is also one of the key elements that they do. And probably most importantly to the U.S. administration is drug smuggling. So that's one aspect of it right there. Then you've got the military aspect. There are many air bases that the Venezuelans have, but these are 2 of the main ones, El Libertador and Lieutenant Teniente Vicente Landeeta Gil Air Force Base. They are in this part of Venezuela, and what they have are F-16s, American-made F-16s, and Russian-made Su-30s. So there is military power in.
So we sold them the airplanes that they about to use on us. Get the fuck out. That's America, baby. That is America for you. Get the
Venezuela, and part of it is, of course, supported by Russia and also by Cuba. The other thing about Venezuela is they have oil, and one of the key elements of that is what is called the Orinoco Belt. There's several different factors here. Venezuela.
All right, hey, watch y'all's gas prices spike tomorrow. If you ain't filled up your truck or your car today, your ass is grass tomorrow, because them gas prices about to rise. I'm glad he said something. I'm going to go fill up my gas tank tonight. Every time we bomb somebody with oil, gas goes sky high.
They had a lot of oil in the Maracaibo region off to the west here, but they also have a lot of oil potentially in these parts. Plus, they also have a potential dispute with Guyana in the Essequibo region.
Yeah, it used to be one of the richest countries in the world, given their oil reserves. I do want to ask you and get your take on the head of the U.S. Southern Command stepping down. This is Admiral Alvin Halsey, who led operations in the Caribbean for only a year. And sources are telling CNN that he and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth did not see eye to eye. This is a high-profile resignation during an incredibly tense time, as you've just laid out. How unusual is that?
It is very unusual. Usually when tensions ramp up in a particular theater that is a theater of potential conflict, the person in charge of that combatant command, in this case Southern Command, command would stay on in the job and see things through. But what is clear to me about Admiral Halsey stepping down is that there must be some policy disagreement going on here. And one of the key factors is that these attacks against the little ships that we've seen off the Venezuelan coast, they may not quite fit in with the construct of the laws of war. And that's a key factor and could have resulted in his early retirement.
All right, Colonel Clayton, thank you so much.
All right, y'all heard that? The colonel, or whatever he called him, he retired because he don't think that this is part of the rules of engagement. But he had to take orders. And he said, you know what? I'm not taking no more orders. But we have a conspiracy theorists about this whole situation. We're going to get to it. Hopefully it's next. But it's going down.
The United States just deployed 3 warships carrying 2,200 Marines off Venezuela's coast. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has now confirmed Iranian drone bases and Russian military assets are operating inside Venezuelan territory. This comes as President Trump ordered the destruction of a massive drug submarine heading toward American shores. The vessel was carrying enough fentanyl to kill 25,000 Americans. Trump released video footage of the strike on Truth Social yesterday. 4 suspected drug traffickers were on board when US forces struck the submarine in Caribbean waters. But here's what changes everything. This wasn't just another drug bust. US intelligence confirmed the submarine was using a well-known trafficking route that connects directly to Venezuelan operations. 2 traffickers died in the strike, while 2 survivors were pulled from the water by US military helicopters. The survivors are being sent back to Ecuador and Colombia for prosecution. Trump avoided keeping them in US custody, sidestepping legal battles about their status as enemy combatants. This strike marks the 6th interdiction in Caribbean waters since last month. Previous operations targeted speedboats suspected of launching from Venezuelan territory. But why strike so hard now? The answer lies 1,300 miles from Miami's coast. Venezuela has become a launchpad for threats Americans never saw coming. European Parliament reports confirm Iran built drone manufacturing facilities on Venezuelan soil. These facilities produce unmanned aerial vehicles that could reach US cities within hours. Russia brought in military advisors and advanced weapons systems. They signed agreements giving Moscow permanent access to Venezuelan ports and airfields. Chinese forces conducted war games there for the first time. 3 major adversaries now operate military assets closer to America than any point since the Cuban.
That makes more sense now. Pay attention. It's making more sense why we going to war with them.
Cuban Missile Crisis. Secretary Rubio put it directly. Foreign adversaries are using Venezuela as a platform to project power against the United States. The drug submarine was just one piece of this larger operation. US Southern Command reports drug trafficking through Venezuela increased 40% since 2023. These aren't random smugglers either. The White House declared yesterday that Maduro's government isn't a legitimate government. It's a narco-terror cartel. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth briefed Congress on documented connections between Maduro's regime and organized crime networks. These networks move billions in drugs through Venezuelan waters annually. But Maduro didn't back down. He mobilized 4.5 million militia members across Venezuela yesterday. He ordered these forces to arm themselves in factories and workplaces nationwide. The empire has gone mad and renewed its threats to Venezuela's peace, Maduro declared. Colombian President Gustavo Petro warned the situation could spiral. The gringos are mad if they think invading Venezuela will solve their problem. They are dragging Venezuela into a Syria-like situation. The US military buildup tells a different story, though. Beyond the 3 destroyers and Marines, the Caribbean deployment includes F-35 fighter jets and a nuclear submarine. 6,500 American troops are now stationed across the region. B-52 bombers patrol near Venezuelan waters. These aren't standard drug interdiction forces. The Marines aboard these ships carry equipment for amphibious assaults and sustained ground operations. Trump claims legal authority to use lethal force against drug cartels, treating them like terrorist organizations. But legal experts question whether this reasoning holds up in court. That's why the submarine survivors went straight back to Ecuador and Colombia. Keeping them in US custody risked court challenges about their combatant status. The European Parliament raised another concern: Iranian Quds Force.
So that just explained why we sent them back to their hometown country. Look, man, I tell y'all, man, it's getting crazy, man. Look, that's why that general resigned. He said, "I'm out of here. This ain't what I'm not gonna sign off on this, because this is bringing us closer and closer to war, and I think they may have got some bad information on that last submarine that they shot down yesterday. Well, shot down because it was already down. They blew up."
Operatives now carry Venezuelan passports. Intelligence suggests these operatives could enter the United States using compromised identity documents. Venezuela's militia forces lack modern equipment, but possess Soviet-era anti-aircraft SY stems. Any military action would face organized resistance across Venezuelan territory. Former Admiral James Stavridis called the deployment overkill, but acknowledged it sends a message. He warned about escalation risks while supporting the show of force. Secretary Rubio summed up the administration's position. Every element of American power stands ready to stop drugs from flooding our country. This goes beyond drugs, though. Foreign military bases, 1,300 miles from Miami, create risks America hasn't faced in decades. The administration faces a choice. Military action could eliminate these threats, but risks broader conflict with Russia and Iran. Meanwhile, drug submarines keep coming. Iranian drones keep being built. Russian advisors keep arriving. The question isn't whether America will act, it's how far this escalation goes.
Yeah, somebody said that Venezuela had 10 planes. 21 Sukhoi fighter jets and a very small number of F-16 fighter jets, reported to only be 3 or 4. Boy, we got like 16,000, 100,000 goddamn fighter jets. They ain't gonna stand a chance. It's gonna be like, oh my God. They better sit down. Just stop the whole fight. Just stop the whole fight. They telling their factory workers to get your guns. Get your guns, factory workers. Like, what's that gonna do? We ain't gonna. America don't gotta step on their land. Ask Obama. Obama's like, just send a drone, goddamn. We don't even gotta be there. You be looking at your, is that a plane? Be gone. As grass.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in as quick as 1 week.